When I got to ground zero, it was like a war zone. I'd never seen anything before like it. There was just total destruction. There was buildings down. There was paper all over the air. There was like a fog.
When I got down to ground zero, it was very quiet. It was an eerie silence all around, people just walking about, and as you just looked around, you witnessed the destruction, and you were just numb from it, and you just started looking for survivors and going to work.
The hardest thing about being down at ground zero was the devastation, was the destruction that we witnessed, the loss of human life.
As we began to see that people were not coming out of ground zero, it was very depressing and very frustrating. I've always been able to complete my assignment. If I'm sent into a building to put it out or to rescue people, I've always been able to do that. And this was a situation where no matter how much I tried, I wasn't finding people. I wasn't really making a difference, I felt.
The hardest thing at ground zero was the feeling of being overwhelmed. No matter how hard you worked, how much time you spent, how devoted you were to the task, you walked off those piles exhausted every day and felt like you hadn't done a thing. You felt like your best friends, the men that you've worked with your whole life, were still there. And it didn't seem that there was anything we could do to change that.
Without the support of the Salvation Army, my job would just be a lot tougher as a New York City firefighter working down at ground zero.
Salvation Army at ground zero was absolutely fantastic for everybody. Us, the civilians, the helpers, the iron workers, everybody. They were there for food, water, shelter, counseling, numerous things.
After Building 7 came down, they told us to go get something to eat. I was like, where are we going to get something to eat down here? There was total devastation. And about a block away, we saw a Salvation Army truck. And it was such a great feeling to see that, because I knew I was going to get a good meal. And I went up there, and they had stew. And it was probably the best stew I ever had. There was a lot more than stew in that cup. There was a lot of love and a lot of caring that went into the stew. And just the smile from the person in the truck also really gave me the energy I needed for the next couple hours.
So when I was at ground zero one morning, I was getting breakfast at the Salvation Army canteen, and I was just eating my breakfast on the side, and this gentleman came over and just wanted to know if I wanted to talk a little bit. And then when I looked up at him, it was a chaplain for the Salvation Army. And it meant a lot for me, just a helping hand or just somebody to talk to if I wanted to.
For me at ground zero, the Salvation Army wasn't just about food and clothing. It was about a lot more. It was about caring. It was about somebody there to give me a hand up when I was starting to feel down. And they really were there to support me and to help me go on.
The Salvation Army shows up and they bring their whole bag. If you need a blanket, they give it to you. If you're thirsty, they give you water. If you're cold, they'll find a place for you inside. There's comfort for you if that's necessary. I feel like I could ask the Salvation Army for anything, and they'd find a way to get it for me. And I feel like they do that for everyone.
The Salvation Army is all about helping people, not just handing out food and water and clothing. It's about counseling. It's about lending a hand. It's about being there. It's about letting people know that they care.
Well, people are calling the firefighters heroes. I would just like to say that the people at the Salvation Army, they're my heroes, because they were there for me.
People think Salvation Army are just there around Christmas time. They're there all the time.
The Salvation Army has been a noble cause and a constant in my career since the beginning. From that first day when I walked out of my first fire and they were there, to ground zero, they have been the same.
I'd like to say to the people at the Salvation Army who work down at ground zero, thank you. Thank you for the clothes, thank you for the food, thank you for the tools, but mostly, thank you for the support, both mentally and physically.
Since ground zero, the firefighters are getting a lot of praise and a lot of pats on the back. It's time to say thank you to the Salvation Army, because they've been there with us, for us, since the beginning. I'd like to say thank you.
I want to say thank you to the Salvation Army. Thanks for being there. Thanks for bringing your people, your trucks, your support, your counselors. Thank you for handing out food. Thank you for handing out water. Thank you for handing out a hand to us, the rescue workers, and the other citizens in New York.
I'd just like to say thank you to the Salvation Army. I'd like them to know that what they're doing is appreciated. I would plead with them to continue to do what they're doing because I think it's critical work. I think it's been important to us and it's important to the country.